What was the best compliment you've received? I'm kind of a low-profile guy, and always have been. One day I saw an old woman tripping on her bicycle in the middle of a busy road. I immediately took action and instinctively directed other people to do this or that, while I assisted the poor lady until the emergency personnel arrived. The day after, a friend of mine reached out to tell me she watched the whole scene, and it felt like witnessing Clark Kent opening his shirt. I worked in a posh private school once, and bought an expensive three-piece suit. One day when I was having coffee after work with my wife, someone approached us and said, "Sorry if this is a weird comment, but your boyfriend is absolutely gorgeous." I generally don't really care about compliments related to looks, but that always really stuck with me, particularly because I didn't have the best upbringing and was self-conscious about dressing in expensive clothing. Maybe not the best compliment, but one I'll never forget was recently. At work, the oldest coworker who was there from the beginning almost 3 decades ago was talking to someone and pointed at me. I only worked there since 4 years ago, and said, "This guy is like the old guard. You can count on him. If there's an issue, he won't leave anyone out in the cold when his shift's over. He'll stay until his duty is done." It's rare to find a coworker like that. I love working with him. She's retiring in a few months and I'm always going to remember her words. I lost my virginity to a girl in high school when I was 17. After the fact, one of her friends asked if she has done, or ever would do anal. She, apparently, I was told this story years later, said absolutely not with a large Big Mac meal. He's way too big for that. Thus, everyone in my 6th form thought I had a massive dong thereafter. 13 years later and I still occasionally get asked about it. Not even mad. Had a buddy coming over with his girlfriend, who brought another female friend of hers along. After a while her friend comes back from the bathroom and asked me if I share the apartment with my girlfriend. After telling her that was single at the time and lived there alone, she asks, "But you pay someone to clean?" I tell her that I don't, and she just looks around, says wow, didn't expect that, and sits back down with the group. Her compliment was completely unintentional and gives me a confidence boost to this day. I work part-time as cashier at the age of 18 and I got to keyed in so many product code into system until one point I don't have to look at keyboard numeral keypad anymore. The hand just moved automatically. One customer noticed it during his checkout and he told me I'm the most skillful cashier he ever encountered. I didn't look at the keyboard and screen while entering all the code manually of the products he bought. I was in the middle of a mental breakdown at work, and although I can't for the life of me remember who said it, they said, "I know you're upset, but you're like a really pretty crier." I know it seems vain, but whenever I'm crying and down on myself I look in the mirror now and realize that yeah, I'm a really pretty crier. And you know who isn't? Kim Kardashian. And that gives me peace and makes me feel better enough to stop crying and move on with my day. 3-for-1 story here. My freshman year of college I met a girl at a bar. She grabbed my hand on the dance floor and pulled me in and said, "I really like your hair. Would you like to dance?" I said sure, and we started dancing. We kept talking and drinking and dancing throughout the night, and at one point we started making out. She was a freshman as well and lived in a dorm at a different part of campus, and since I knew my roommate would be staying with his girlfriend, I asked her if she would like to come back to my dorm and she said yes. We get back to my room and we continue to make out, and as we get to the point where clothes start coming off she stops me and says, "I'm totally okay with this happening if that's where we're heading. I just wanted you to know that I am a virgin. I've never taken anyone's virginity before, and even back then I was still a little apprehensive about it." I asked her if she is sure she wanted to, because it's totally cool if she isn't ready, and she assured me that she was ready and that she wanted to. So we continued making out on my bed and started undressing each other. At one point she is laying there in just her underwear and I'm there shirtless but still wearing my jeans. After she feels around outside for a little while she undoes my belt and slides her hand in. She then undoes my pants and pulls it completely out and starts playing with it while we are kissing. After about a minute, I'm fully ready to go. She then stops again, looks down at it in her hands, and says that's not going to fit in there. I genuinely could not stop myself from laughing at that, which in turn made her start laughing, which completely killed the mood. We decided to table the idea and go to bed, so I gave her some clothes to sleep in and we went to bed. The next morning she went back to her dorm. We continued to talk and went out on a couple of dates throughout the rest of that school year. We even tried to get a long-distance thing started during the summer, but figured it would probably be best to just wait until we were back at school together in the fall. When that finally happened, I was at a party on the first weekend of the fall semester and she texted me and asked if I wanted to take her home with me, and I said yes and left to go pick her up. We went back to my house and made it right back to where we stopped the last time when, again, she looked down at it in her hands and said, "I'm sorry. It's just too big for me." TLDR, met a girl at a bar. Compliment 1, I like your hair. Compliment 2, your cock is too big. Compliment 3, your cock is still too big. I broke up with my daughter's mother when she was 16 months old, and so I shared custody of her most of her life. When she was 7 and at my house she was looking at pictures of us and saw a picture of me and she said I have that picture in my photo album at Mummy's and when I see it, it just makes me happy. I never wanted anything more from the world. I can remember her face and cheeks and smile from when she said it just like it was yesterday. She's 17 now and I hope someday she remembers how a photo of me made her happy. I was in the bathroom at work. I was washing my hands and a woman came up behind me, put her hands on her hips and said, "Wow, you don't wear makeup, do you? Some girls wear makeup just to look like you." For the record, I don't think I'm better or above other women because I don't wear makeup. The only reason I don't wear makeup is because 1, I'm lazy and 2, I can never get it right. I wish I could wear makeup and look amazing like other girls. But God, I really needed that compliment. At the time I went through a nasty breakup with a guy who destroyed my confidence. So thank you, random woman. You really lifted my spirits. In my 40 years of life as a man, I'd say all 3 of them and I still remember them like it was yesterday when it really was many years ago. You whistle just as good as my dad. From my biggest crush ever, around 15 years ago. Whatever you wear, it looks good on you. From my older brother's ex-girlfriend, around 20 years ago. Since I am German and in German wear and carry is the same word tragen or in this case trägst, I thought she meant the way I was carrying a heavy bag of soil, but she really meant my gardening clothes, which are just old worn down normal clothes which are not bad enough to throw away but too ugly to wear on normal occasions. You carry that thing in a cool way. From a guy my mom bought some very heavy plant pots from which is could easily carry because I was already pretty strong back then. Around 25 years ago. So out of the 3, the only compliment that I am really proud of is from my crush, obviously. I know now that she liked me and tried multiple times to get closer to me, but women's hints are too small for my dumb man brain to understand. Me and my friends make OCs and draw a lot. And so I drew one of my friend's characters. It was a pretty simple drawing, but she said that her day was really bad and I made her feel so much better. And that she's grateful to have a friend like me. I had been in some really toxic friend groups before, but now I feel actually safe in a friend group. They actually treat me like a person. We can make each other's days not suck. Guys, I love my friend's smile. When I was working retail, a coworker randomly said to me that I'd make a great actress because I have one of those faces people just love. When I asked what she meant, she said, "Well, you're very beautiful." Yes, but many people are, and this means nothing. You have so many emotions that clearly come through your face and are so interesting to watch. I don't think you could tell a lie because the emotion would show so clearly in your entire face and not just your eyes. It's very rare to see this in people, and I think you're the first one I've seen in person. I was taking acting classes at the time and I had received a lot of compliments on my acting. I'm pretty good, but this was a billion times more wonderful to hear. She was so funny and cool, I miss her. That was such a nice thing to say. A husband of a friend visited me when I was at my lowest point of my life. I was excited to see him, asked about his family and offered a beer. Last time I've seen him I had a nice house, cars and a great job. As he opened his beer, Tay told me, "That's what I like about you, Alfredo. When you have everything going for you or when you are down on your luck, you don't change. You are still a nice guy that is sincere and genuinely care." What he said made me stay humble and reminds me to stay real. The head of the science faculty at my university singled me out and called me into his office after an end-of-unit exam. I shat myself because I didn't know what I'd done wrong and he didn't speak to me on the way to his office. He told me to sit down and proceeded to tell me that an essay I wrote for one of his classes was one of the top 5 essays he'd ever read from an undergrad and offered me a scholarship. From my company commander, who I thought he hated me on my farewell talk, "Man, you shut up too much. But every time you talk on important issues you have the best things to say and I loved hearing you speak up. Also, I have never seen anyone work without a single drop of ego like you. It's been almost 2 years and I still think about it from time to time. Also, a lot of people say I have nice and soft hair and I like it. The day I went to enroll in the gym and they asked where I used to gym before, that was such a proud feeling. NGLBCZ, I only used to do push-ups, pull-ups and some abs workout at home and was feeling so bad about myself at that point, as even after all those years of home workout, I had neither developed muscles nor gained weight. The most recent was yesterday when I went to the shooting arena and hit a bullseye, and the trainer guy really appreciated and asked if I had any experience in that field. Apart from video games on my computer. That 2 years back. I don't have any experience in shooting.